For centuries, the galaxy believed Earth was gone. Its people, its worlds, its stories erased by time and arrogance. Alien scholars said humanity had been too violent, too emotional, too unpredictable to survive in a civilized galaxy. They called them a failed species. The word human became a warning, not a memory. But deep in the darkness, far beyond the edge of known space, something old was still listening. Hidden beneath the dead surface of a forgotten moon, a network of ancient satellites blinked awake. Their metal shells were covered in dust and silence, but their cores were alive, waiting for a signal that would take centuries to arrive. That signal came one quiet night. It was faint, weak, almost broken. A distress call from the edge of the Karth Dominion, the most powerful empire in the galaxy. It came from a small colony world, unimportant and nameless, but the message was unmistakable. The words were in a language the galaxy had not heard in over 1,000 years. This is Outpost Theta 9. We are under attack. Unknown ships. Repeat, unknown ships. This is a human colony, requesting immediate support. The transmission ended with static. No one in the Karth Dominion understood it. They did not know the word human anymore. To them, it was just another strange sound from the void. They ignored it, but the machines hidden under that moon did not ignore it. One by one, they woke up. A chain of satellites, ancient defense beacons, and black data cores began to communicate again. Across dozens of dead systems, energy surged through sleeping circuits. A long-dormant AI known as Erebus Protocol activated its final sequence. A voice, cold and human, spoke into the darkness. If you are hearing this, then they have returned. Wake the sleepers. The word spread through encrypted subspace channels faster than light, jumping from one forgotten human outpost to another. Every old base, every abandoned defense platform, and every buried vault began to hum with life again. The galaxy did not notice at first. The changes were small, tiny fluctuations in hyperspace, old satellites moving where none should move, strange signals bouncing off communication relays. Only a few observers noticed, and when they did, it was already too late, because the sleeping giants had heard the call. Weeks later, the Karth Dominion noticed something strange on their border. A patrol fleet had vanished. No distress signal. No debris, only silence. They sent another fleet, larger, stronger. It disappeared too. Then one night, the entire border lit up with blue light. A massive triangular ship emerged from hyperspace, larger than any alien vessel ever built. Its hull was dark silver, covered with scars and ancient markings. It made no transmission, no demands. It simply hovered above the Karth world of Vereen Prime, silent, cold, watching. The Dominion commanders panicked. They tried to contact it, no answer. They opened fire. The planet's sky burned blue for 7 seconds. Then everything went black. When the light faded, the human ship was still there. The alien fleet was gone. No wreckage. No survivors. The oceans boiled from the blast and the planet's moon shattered from shockwaves. And then came the message. Every screen, every radio, every subspace relay across the Dominion flickered alive. A symbol appeared. An old Earth insignia, the kind no one had seen for 1,000 years. It was followed by a voice. A human voice. This is Earth Command. To those who started this, you fired first. We remember. You started this. We'll end it. The galaxy went silent. For the first time in centuries, alien leaders whispered the same question. How can Earth still exist? No one had an answer. But the survivors of Vereen Prime told stories of what they saw before the destruction. They spoke of shadows moving under the human ship, of machines with human faces carved into metal, of strange energy that sounded like heartbeat echoes in the air. They said the humans had not just survived, they had changed. They had become something the galaxy could no longer understand. Back on the hidden moon, the Erebus Protocol continued to awaken systems across forgotten space. Ancient war factories roared back to life, producing ships with armor made of unknown alloys. The AI transmitted coordinates to a place once called Sol, the old home of mankind. For the first time in over 1,000 years, light returned to Earth's orbit. In the deep oceans, long-buried human archives opened. The last human-built super AI named Archon connected to Erebus and spoke in a human voice heavy with sorrow. We were forgotten. We were erased. But we never died. Now we rise. The AI activated every dormant defense fleet, reawakening humanity's greatest creation, the Terran Vanguard. Ships that once protected the old colonies began to move again, forming up in silence. In every alien communication network, static filled the channels. Then one simple message spread through the stars. This is the final message from Earth. To all who hear us, remember what you started. The signal reached worlds that had never known humans. Some called it a hoax. Others called it prophecy. But deep inside, everyone felt the same chill. Something ancient and unstoppable had returned. Something that remembered every insult, every wound, every world that burned long ago, and now it was awake. As the stars dimmed and hyperspace ripples spread across the void, one alien general whispered to his crew, "The sleeping giants." They were real, and above him, hidden behind a dying sun, a fleet of human warships prepared to move. Humanity had been silent for too long. Now the silence was over. The storm had begun. The galaxy had seen war before. Empires had risen and fallen. Entire species had vanished into history. But what happened next was different. What came was not invasion, it was revelation. When the Karth Dominion lost contact with Vereen Prime, panic spread like fire. Fleets were scrambled. Scientists analyzed the debris field, but they found nothing. No energy signature, no radiation, no trace of an enemy weapon. It was as if the world had been erased from existence. The Dominion called for aid from its allies, but no one answered. Because at that same moment, across hundreds of light years, strange blue lights began to appear in deep space. Ships of unknown design were moving in silence. Massive triangular warships surrounded by smaller escort vessels, each marked with the same ancient symbol, a blue earth surrounded by 13 stars. For those who studied old records, the symbol was unmistakable. Humanity had returned. On the bridge of the Dominion's flagship, Admiral Vorkal watched in disbelief as the unknown fleet appeared on the scanners. "They are forming a line," his officer said, his voice shaking. No response to hails. Vorkal stared at the central ship, colossal, shimmering with faint blue light. "Fire!" he ordered, his claws trembling. "Fire everything we have." A storm of plasma and missiles lit up the void. When the smoke cleared, the human ships had not moved. Then a low vibration filled the air. The crew felt it before hearing it, a sound like thunder spreading through their bones. The lead human ship powered up a weapon no one had ever seen. A beam of pale light extended forward, slow and graceful, and when it touched the Dominion fleet, the stars went dark. Silence followed. Every Dominion ship vanished without explosion or debris, gone as if space itself had swallowed them. The transmission arrived seconds later. A human face appeared on every Dominion screen, calm, expressionless, lit by cold light. It was a woman speaking softly in Old Standard English. "This is the Terran Vanguard. We are not here for conquest. We are here because you crossed a line. This is not revenge. This is justice." The signal cut, but her voice lingered in the static, echoing through the communication arrays. For the first time in centuries, the galaxy knew fear, not from domination but from understanding. The humans had returned, and they had become something far beyond flesh and blood. They were a fusion of machine and mind, evolved through isolation and loss. Their technology did not follow physics as the galaxy knew it. Their ships moved without warp, without heat, without error. They were precise, silent, unstoppable. On the barren moon of Erebus Station, a small group of human survivors stood under the shadow of their ship. Their commander, Captain Elias Wren, stared at the stars through the transparent dome. His face was pale, marked with age, yet his eyes carried the fire of old Earth. "We were silent too long," he said quietly. "Now they remember us." A young officer turned to him. "Sir, do we strike all the Karth systems?" Elias shook his head. "No. We strike their pride first." He pointed to the holographic map, an empire spread across hundreds of worlds. "We send the message to every planet they own. Not through war. Through truth." The humans transmitted a new signal. Across thousands of worlds, every communication network froze. The same message appeared on every screen, in every language, in every corner of the stars. "We are the children of Earth. You thought we were gone. You called us monster savages, mistakes. But we survived. We endured. And now we have returned." Then came the symbol again. The blue earth, burning bright against the dark. On hundreds of alien worlds, The message played on endless repeat. Some knelt before it. Some cursed it. Some tried to destroy their screens, but none could ignore it. The human voice spoke again. This is not a war. It is a correction. You destroyed our colonies. You enslaved our kind. You believed the silence meant death, but silence meant preparation. And then, for the first time in recorded galactic history, the entire Dominion broadcast grid went offline at once. Every system, every satellite, every ship, dead. Only one signal remained, pulsing softly in the void. The Terran Vanguard. Across other galaxies, nations watched the event with fear. The old myths about humanity spread like wildfire. Stories of a species born in chaos, forged by pain, and capable of endless adaptation. Some said they were no longer biological. Others said they were now gods wearing human faces. The truth was simpler. Humanity had learned what the galaxy never did, how to feel, and how to remember. In a quiet council hall far from the war zone, alien leaders argued over what to do. Should they fight or surrender? Should they reach out or hide? Then the lights dimmed, a holographic projection filled the room. A human figure appeared, tall, calm, with glowing eyes that reflected blue light. He spoke slowly, his voice echoing like a calm storm. We do not seek destruction, but every action has a cost. The universe gave you mercy once. You mistook it for weakness. There will be no second mercy. The leaders said nothing. They could only stare. Back on the human flagship Erebus Prime, Captain Wren stood before the viewing glass. Below him, the broken remains of the Karth Dominion's capital world glowed like molten stone. A voice from the communications officer interrupted him. Sir, the broadcasts have reached every system. Every race is listening. Reen's eyes narrowed. Then they will hear us once more. He leaned forward and spoke into the channel. We are not conquerors. We are reminders. When you look at the stars tonight, remember who taught you fear. Remember the name you buried in your histories. We are humanity, and we are awake. The message spread faster than light, bouncing across the galaxy through dust, through time, through memory. In every dark corner of the cosmos, one truth echoed louder than all others. The sleeping giants had returned, and the galaxy would never sleep again. After the fall of the Karth Dominion, the galaxy held its breath. News of the human fleet spread faster than light. Some refused to believe it. Others built walls around their worlds, hoping the ghosts of Earth would pass them by. But humanity was not looking for surrender. They wanted truth. Across the void, Terran ships appeared above abandoned colonies, ancient battlefields, and forgotten ruins where human bones had once turned to dust. They hovered in silence, scanning, remembering. Every data core, every broken ship was recovered and sent back to Earth. For the first time in 1,000 years, humanity began to rebuild its own story. They did not come as conquerors. They came as witnesses. On the flagship Erebus Prime, Captain Elias Rain stood before the main screen. A new transmission was ready, one that would reach the entire galaxy at once. Are you certain about this, sir? His officer asked. Once we send it, there is no turning back. Rain nodded slowly. The galaxy should know why we came. He stepped forward and spoke. His voice, calm but heavy, carried through every relay, every satellite, every receiver from the core worlds to the cold rim. This is the Terran Vanguard. We do not ask for forgiveness. We ask that you remember. His face appeared on millions of alien screens. Behind him, the Earth emblem glowed blue, bright as a star. You called us dangerous. You called us monsters. You feared what we could become. You were right, he paused. We became something more. On distant worlds, crowds gathered around public screens. Alien children watched, eyes wide, as the human broadcast played. Elders whispered ancient tales, stories of a small blue planet that once challenged empires and vanished. The message continued. You destroyed our homes. You hunted our people. You erased our history. But you forgot one truth: humans adapt. We suffer, we fall, but we rise again. To those who enslave others, to those who burn worlds, to those who think mercy is weakness, hear this. The age of silence is over. The broadcast ended with a simple phrase that froze every mind that heard it. You awoke the sleeping giants. Now you will learn why we slept. The galaxy reacted like a storm had hit it. Some species sent envoys begging for peace. Others armed themselves, fearing extinction. But humanity did not attack again. Their fleets remained still, orbiting quietly above the ruins of the Dominion. They observed, listened, and judged. A month later, a council of alien leaders gathered on the moonworld Ratha. The hall was filled with noise and fear. Every faction wanted answers. A hologram flickered at the center table. The image of Captain Wren appeared again. The aliens gasped. They had not invited him, yet he was there. "Do not be afraid," he said softly. "We are not your enemies unless you choose to be." One alien governor stood up, trembling. Why did you destroy the Dominion?" Wren's voice was cold. "They killed 23 human colonies during the Exodus War. We never forgot. Justice took its time." Another leader asked, "Will you punish us too?" Wren looked at them one by one. "If your hands are clean, you have nothing to fear. If they are stained, wash them before we arrive." And the hologram vanished. Weeks passed. Then the humans sent something new, a transmission unlike any before. It was not a threat. It was a memory. Across the galaxy, screens showed old Earth, oceans, forests, cities, children laughing under blue skies. A narrator's calm voice spoke. "This was our home. We built, we dreamed, we reached for the stars. We failed many times, but we never stopped trying. The images shifted, wars, ruins, ashes. You saw this part and judged us, but you never waited to see how it ended. Then came scenes of rebuilding, cooperation, and ships rising again from Earth's atmosphere. We learned. We evolved. We became what we needed to survive. Now we ask only this: learn from us, or face what we became." The video ended with the same symbol, a glowing Earth surrounded by stars, and the phrase, "Humanity endures." Billions watched in silence. Some cried, though they did not know why. Others whispered prayers to names long forgotten. In deep space, a small alien transport crossed the path of a human patrol ship. The alien captain panicked, sending 1,000 apologies. The human vessel replied with a simple text, "Peace, travel safe." The alien wept. He had expected death. He received mercy. That mercy became the most powerful weapon humanity ever used. Across the stars, tyrants and warlords began to fear not human guns but human silence. Empires collapsed under guilt alone. The very idea of Earth became legend again, a force that punished cruelty and rewarded compassion. Every race began teaching their young the same rule: do not awaken the giants. Back on Erebus Prime, Captain Wren stood alone before the viewing glass. Earth shimmered below him, alive again with light. His officer approached. "Sir, the galaxy is changing. They are listening to us now." Wren nodded. "Then our message was heard." He turned to the stars, his reflection framed by endless darkness. "We did not return to rule. We returned to remind." Behind him, the fleet slowly shifted into formation. Thousands of ships glowing like constellations, surrounding the reborn Earth, and somewhere far away in the dark corners of space, new signals began to echo. Voices of alien worlds calling out to humanity, not in fear, but in hope. The message had done more than shake the stars. It had changed them. For the first time in galactic history, the universe no longer looked at humans as monsters or myths. They looked at them as something far more dangerous, a species that had learned mercy after surviving hell. And in the silence that followed, every world knew if Earth ever spoke again, the galaxy would listen. Centuries passed. The stars that once burned with war were quiet now. The name Earth no longer carried fear. It carried weight, a reminder of balance and consequence. Children on distant worlds learned about humanity not from war reports, but from stories told in hushed voices. They learned that humans were not gods, not devils, but something in between. Beings who felt deeply, who remembered pain, and who turned that pain into strength. The galaxy had changed. Trade flowed between species that once fought. Empires became councils. Armies became explorers. And somewhere in the deep silence of space, humanity still watched. On a barren moon near the galactic edge, a lone outpost blinked with faint blue light. It was not a fortress anymore, just a listening post, a single tower rising over silver sands. Inside, an old human guardian named Lyra kept the watch. Her uniform was faded, her hair gray, but her eyes carried the same fire that once guided the vanguard. Every day she checked the transmissions. Most were peaceful: diplomatic requests, trade updates, stories of cooperation. Humanity had no need to intervene anymore. They had done what they came to do, restore balance. Still, Lyra listened. It was tradition. The stars were never truly quiet. That night, as she leaned over the console, a soft ping echoed through the chamber. A signal. Old code. Human code. Her heart froze. She had not seen one like it in decades. She opened the channel. Static filled the room. Then a voice, broken, faint, ancient. "This is Outpost Theta. We have found something. Old human origin." The message cut out. Lyra stared at the screen. Theta was the same name as the outpost that sent the first distress call centuries ago. The one that had awakened the sleeping giants. But Theta had been destroyed. It should not exist. She activated long-range comms. "Command, this is Lyra of Sentinel Post 9. Receiving signal from Outpost Theta. Coordinates match no current system. Requesting confirmation." There was silence. Then a familiar, calm voice responded. "Message received, Sentinel. Do not approach." The past should rest, but she could not. Something inside her whispered. The same instinct that had once driven humans to cross oceans and galaxies. She packed her gear, entered her small shuttle, and followed the signal. Days turned into weeks as she crossed forgotten star paths. The coordinates led her beyond mapped space into a region known only as the Silent Veil. No beacons, no signals, just cold stars and ghost light. Finally, she found it. A world floating in black mist, its surface cracked and dry. And in orbit, something massive, ancient, and familiar. It was a ship. A Terran vessel older than any record, its hull covered in dust and silence. Engraved on its side, UES Sol Requiem. Lyra landed and stepped through the ruined airlock. The corridors were dark, lined with faded symbols of Earth's early fleets. Everything was dead, except one console still glowing faintly blue. She wiped the dust and pressed the key. A hologram flickered to life, a man in an old Earth uniform. His voice was calm, gentle, weary. "If you are seeing this, then humanity has endured. That means we did not fail." He paused, his eyes scanning the empty air as if speaking to the stars. "This ship carried the last survivors of the Exodus War. We came here to protect what was left of our people's soul. A message, not of war, but of memory. You who find this, remember, strength without compassion is destruction. Compassion without strength is surrender. We found balance through loss. Let that be the true legacy of Earth." The hologram flickered and ended. Lyra stood in silence. The air was cold, but her heart felt warm. The old ship had not been a weapon, it had been a monument. Humanity's final safeguard for its own soul. She transmitted the message to command. Within days, every world in the galaxy received it. The video of that old captain's face spread faster than the first war broadcast centuries ago. But this time there was no fear. There was reflection. Across alien cities, screens glowed with the recording. Children watched, their parents standing quietly behind them. The humans' words echoed through classrooms, temples, and halls of power. One alien elder said softly, "They were not warning us anymore. They were teaching us." On hundreds of worlds, monuments to the fallen were built, not just for humans, but for every species that had died in the wars. The blue Earth symbol became a symbol of peace, engraved beside dozens of alien emblems, and somewhere, hidden among the stars, the Terran vanguard continued to drift not as conquerors, but as guardians of silence. On Earth, now bright and living again, Captain Elias Wren's name was carved into the wall of memory. Every dawn, sunlight touched the letters, and the people remembered. The air smelled of the ocean again. Children ran under skies that had once been black with fire. Humanity had finally come home. In the great observatory on Mount Aegis, Lyra stood before the giant window, watching the sky shimmer. Her face was older now, lined with time, but her eyes still carried the same light. A young cadet approached her. "Do you think they will ever need us again?" Lyra smiled faintly. "Maybe one day. The galaxy forgets easily. But if it does..." She looked toward the stars, her reflection merging with their glow. "Then we will answer again. Not with anger, with remembrance." The cadet nodded. "And what if they never forget?" She smiled wider, softer. "Then the silence will mean peace at last." Outside, the human fleet floated quietly above the blue Earth, their lights reflecting like constellations of a new age. And across the stars, where once there had been war, now there was balance, born from the fury, pain, and mercy of a species that had learned what it truly meant to endure. The galaxy had many empires, many legends, but only one truth that every being knew by heart. Do not mistake Earth's silence for absence, because in every heartbeat, in every corner of the cosmos, the same message still echoed softly. We remember, we forgive, we endure. And that was how humanity became not the destroyers of the stars, but their conscience. The sleeping giants had awoken once, and their dream had remade the universe.